Welcome into Scoop du Jour, Marcus Lattimore, a guest I have been so excited to have on the show. Former South Carolina running back, South Carolina legacy, if you will. You got into coaching, player development. Now you're leading the next generation of student athletes as a mentor, and you're a fellow podcast host. So podcast host to podcast host, I have to thank you for being here. But how was that introduction? Was it good, or do I need some work?
I might need to hire you.
I like
Nah, that was great. That was great. Thank you for having me, Jourdan. The name of your podcast is so interesting. Scoop du jour.
Do you like that?
I love it, and jour with your name, right?
Yes.
That's what it goes with. Yeah,
Yes.
I love
Thank
that.
you for saying that. You're one of the first people to comment on it, who's been a guest. Obviously, people who are friends and family have picked up on it, but it's kind of fun because we're getting the scoop with all of the guests, going beyond the game, which is, kind of cliche, very cliche. But I want to get the scoop about like life and advice and who you are. I think especially you, everyone knows, or most people know you for what you did on the field, but there's so many things you and I were just talking off the mic that you are doing and have done off of it. So we'll get to all of those things. But I think who you are probably started on the field. So I am curious about that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about so many things, but I am curious for you, football was it always who you were? Was it always a passion? Was it something you knew you would pursue forever? Or was it just something you were really good at?
Oh man. When you grow up in South Carolina, in rural South Carolina, there's not really a lot of uh, avenues to explore. There's not really a lot to do. We have a we have a lot of open space, and we have a lot of grass and um, farms. Uh, but there's really not. I mean, it's not like being in New York City or
Mhm.
Atlanta or LA, where I mean, possibilities by the time you're 4 or 5 years old. I mean, you've been exposed to so many different things. Football is kind of like etched into South Carolina. Um, my brother played. Everybody around me played. It wasn't really a choice. It was as if you're a boy and you're not on the field, and I mean, like, what the hell are you doing? That's really how it is in rural South Carolina. So it you learn to love it because that is what you're doing. Like sports in general, not just football. I mean, we had obviously had other sports, but football is king. Football is religion in the South, and I embraced it. I embraced every part of it. Um, I do remember this anytime I'm asked a question about my past, I do remember the first time I got hit. I do remember that contact. And at that time, I knew something was unnatural about it. But it was like it was a moment. It was like, okay, am I gonna lay down or am I gonna get back up? It was
Yeah.
one of those moments. It was just like, I'm gonna continue to keep doing this. And it's just like your brain is almost reconfigured at that moment when you take that first hit. And it's like, okay. And then you learn to love it. I mean, like I love action. I love contact. I learned to love every bit of it. And I mean, heck, there's only one way to play the game effectively, and I mean that's violently. So I mean, I learned to love it. It's been a part of my life ever since I've been 6 years old, and I was blessed and fortunate enough to play it for 17, 18 years. Not a lot of people get to play after high school, and I got to do that. Not a lot of people get to play after college, and I got to experience that. So football is etched into me. Like even before, I mean, I was named after Marcus Allen. My dad
Oh.
told me that. So I mean, it's in me, it's in my dad, it's in my family. It's who we are.
So you played at this iconic high school in South Carolina. Like you said, it's just part of the makeup of growing up in the South, really. Um, Burns. And I told you I have
Burnside.
had a funny story for you, but I didn't tell you until we got on the mic. So um, in 2008, Burns played St. Thomas Aquinas
Oh my goodness.
in Fort Lauderdale. And, I went
Oh,
there.
did you go there?
I did.
Oh,
And
okay. I still have. Go ahead. Go. You go
oh,
ahead.
you played in that game. It was at Lockhart Stadium in South Florida, which is and was a soccer stadium. So it wasn't at St. Thomas because it was such a big game. And St. Thomas Aquinas, for those who don't know, is an incredible high school football program in its own right, but it doesn't really have the capacity to host these big games that the team is often part of. So, anyways, it was at this soccer field, and you played in that game. My dad still remembers your presence
Mm.
in that game. And, anyways, I just thought that was so cool. Like, what a full circle moment. Here we are.
St. Thomas, that game, they had, I mean, at least 9 guys in the NFL.
That team was
On
unbelievable.
Yeah, James White, I mean, like,
Just
two-time Super
retired.
Bowl champion, Giovanni Bernard, like, I mean, you could just go down. I believe Joey Bosa was on the team, but he wasn't even playing that game. So, I mean, it
Okay,
was
so
just
he's younger than me. And he was probably, if I was a freshman in high school, then he was, younger than that.
like, I mean, I gotta be honest, I still when that game comes up, I still have nightmares about it. I do because I I never want to blame myself for why we lost. Like because I just don't believe in that philosophy that one player can lose a game. But I mean, I think I
Mm.
fumbled twice that game, and it just anytime somebody bring up you want to know something funny. Anytime somebody brings up that game, I try to redirect the conversation as
You're
fast
like,
as
"Oh,
possible. I'm just like, no, I don't want to talk about it because we had them beat. We had them beat. We had a really good team. But
yeah.
yeah, it was St. Thomas number 1 versus number 2. It was a huge game. I remember that.
Okay,
Cannot forget that game.
we'll redirect the conversation, but we
we
had to
don't
bring
have,
it up. It's full circle. Like conversations like this are kind of cool because the world works in a neat way. We were talking about another connection we had, and we'll shout out Mike Yuva because hopefully he's
you've
listening. Your fellow
he's
podcast.
like a celebrity in Colombia. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, because I follow him on everything, and now he's back in his hometown. But I mean, you know how someone's a celebrity? Because okay, I went to college at North Carolina, the real Carolina.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Okay, but okay, you and I can both agree on this. How good is Bojangles?
But there is no seasoning for the fries on earth like Bojangles.
There's
Period.
like it's just the best. So to have something named after you, which Mike Yuva does,
Right.
for those who don't know, he has a sandwich named after him, the Yuva. I mean, that's celebrity status.
Forever.
Yeah,
Forever etched. I mean, it's like he deserves it though. He works his ass off. Like
for real.
the
I know.
dude is relentless.
I know. He works so hard, and it's cool to see things like that. Like and people who work really hard, it's cool to watch that payoff. Um especially when it's people that you know and care about. So, back to you. You worked really hard and it paid off. You talked about South Carolina. Did you always know you wanted to stay in South Carolina? I know now you're not living there, and I do want to get to that, but did you know for college ball you wanted to stay in the state, or how did your recruitment process play out?
No, not at all. Not at all. You obviously feel the rivalry. I mean, no matter where you go. I mean, even if you're not a football fan in South Carolina, you're gonna feel Clemson and the
Mm.
gravity of Clemson and South Carolina pulling you. Um, I didn't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was a fan of players more than
Okay.
anything. I would always watch LSU, and I love how they ran the football. Obviously, Alabama. I mean, watching Trent Richardson and Mark Ingram ever since they've been in high school, and seeing them play on that stage, that was enticing. My brother was a big Florida State fan, so I paid attention to them a little bit. I never really got into SC or Clemson, but you know, as you as I got older and my first offer, those were my first two offers, Clemson and South Carolina, and then just everybody else. But it was it started then. I started to pay attention to who they had and the coaches and all of that. But I was a fan of the lights. I mean, just like everybody else, the big lights, the
Yeah.
USC, the Notre Dame, the Alabama, the Michigan, Texas, like all the programs that you see on TV every week. Um, those were Penn State. Like Penn State was really enticing to me at that time.
Yeah.
Um, like big programs, but I never thought about the value of staying in state until they actually started recruiting me. Um, and I mean, it was it was Clemson, it was South Carolina. I would go to both. I only lived like 30 minutes from Clemson, maybe an hour and 15 minutes away from South Carolina. So it was easy to get there. I saw the coaches a lot more often, and I felt the positive, like, okay, as a 16-year-old, I mean, this was just like a lot coming at me,
Yeah.
but I also enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the attention. I was getting attention everywhere I went because South Carolina is so small. It's just like, okay, I like this positive. For me at the time, it was
Sure.
positive pressure and positive attention because I'm just like, heck, I'm getting attention from everybody. I mean, teachers a little bit more nicer. The opposite sex. I mean, I'm getting more attention from girls. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I like this. So I mean, with that naive mindset, I mean, it was yeah, it was all exciting. I didn't know until my senior year. I think I kind of wanted to stretch it out because I was enjoying all the attention.
Yeah.
I really didn't want it to end. Um, I ultimately made the decision to go to South Carolina because of Coach Spurrier. Um, I mean, you just got to meet Coach Spurrier. You just got to be in his presence. I mean, he's like he's a rock star. Like he's one of a kind. And he's so himself. Like who we see in the commercials, who we see on the sideline is who he was in my home in 2009 when he came and sat with me and told me we're going to run the football. So Coach Spurrier, I mean, him coming to my house, telling, just being himself, he's naturally a comedian, and I don't think he
Yeah.
like really realizes that, but it's like he's authentic too, so I mean, it was him. It was Coach Spurrier.
I think a lot of people can understand that. And in our household, we are Steve Spurrier stands because we are Gator fans. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, like all of the things you said are so fascinating. But if there's like a story or a funny moment that sticks out to you from
Oh
just
my
playing
goodness.
under him, I'm sure there are countless, right?
Man, like there was not a day when we didn't walk into the meeting room where he wasn't being his theatrical self.
I love
Like
it.
that's just who he is. He's just like animated and theatrical, and he's just I mean, there was one time in specific, it wasn't funny at the time, but now it's funny. Like I fumbled in the game. I keep bringing up these stories about how I fumbled. I fumbled in the game in 2011 versus Auburn, and we get to film on Monday, and when the fumble comes up, he has the remote to fast forward and rewind. So as the ball is coming out and coming going back in, going out, coming back in, he kept fast forwarding and rewinding it. And he would like point at my fingers, and then I think, okay, I ordered some chicken wings the night before at the at the hotel, and he said, "Marcus, is it the grease from is it the grease from the chicken fingers on my hand?" And I'm just like, I'm embarrassed, like I'm embarrassed as hell in this moment. But like I look back on it, it's just like that is so classic Coach Spurrier. Like he did the quarterbacks. Oh my goodness! To be a quarterback under
Oh,
Coach Spurrier, you better have on a bulletproof vest, and you you better bring some courage to the party, because he is going to offensive lineman too. Oh my goodness!
oh, I bet.
I didn't get it as bad as everybody
Really?
else. And when I say get it, like I mean like just the he had a it was just his way of motivating you. Like he would get on you.
Sure.
But like funny stories, I mean, there's too many, because everything he did was funny.
That's awesome. Do you guys still keep up?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I don't what's funny? I don't even have his number saved. I just type in his number because it's so easy to remember, and I just call him. Um, yeah, I just it's we still talk. I mean, his memory is still like just sharp as anything. He'll bring up something from 1986, on third down, um, in the third quarter, at Duke or wherever he was at that time. Um, yeah, I mean, Coach Spurrier is amazing.
That's
He really
awesome.
is.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like we could do a whole podcast episode on those stories, I'm sure.
easily,
And,
easily.
if he ever wants to join, we can have him share them.
Oh my goodness, we'd be laughing the whole time. We wouldn't be able to get any questions going.
I believe it, but I'm sure he probably doesn't, love on your brother who went to Florida State, I'm sure, right?
Oh my goodness, golly.
Um, so at South Carolina, you have this storied career. I'm reading my notes, the career record for rushing touchdowns and an iconic career. So many games, I'm sure, kind of come to mind. Does one maybe stick out to you as the most memorable?
Mm. Oh man, if I had to pick one, Alabama in 2010, it was a perfect day. That's really the only way to describe it. Perfect, like perfect offense, defense. Like we played flawless, um, and we knew going into the game that we were going to win. Alshon Jeffrey went on. He did a he did a spiel on ESPN maybe 3 days before the game happened, and it didn't play until Saturday morning, when we're all sitting in the hotel just waiting around until 3:30, until we have to leave and go to the stadium. And Alshon said came on, and we were all surrounded by the TV right after breakfast. He said, "Yeah, it's gonna feel real good when we beat Alabama." And we all like
Ooh,
just looked at each
got
other like,
goosebumps.
yeah, like left. We looked to our left. We looked to our right. And I mean, it was just something that we just knew. We knew for some reason that it was about to be a good day. And it was, I mean, Garcia played out of his mind. Like every ball was on the money. Offensive line was opening up holes. I mean, against Marcel Darius and that defense. Like, I mean, it was just Dante Hightower, like, and then defense. I mean, golly. Our defensive line looked like some like monsters out there that day. And the weather, like the weather was just perfect too. It was like 65,
Amazing.
sun was setting early. I mean, you couldn't really ask for a better day in Columbia, South Carolina either. And then the fans were into it. So, and then it was it was amazing.
Do you remember your
It was.
performance that day?
I remember my performance, 3 touchdowns. Um, I was I was feeling it. I was feeling it. It was I had some I wouldn't say it was my best performance, it was my most gutsy performance, like, 'cause I was breaking a lot of tackles. I was seeing holes that, uh, I usually don't see, I guess. I mean, I was running through arm tackles. I mean, it was something inside of us. Maybe Alshon the before the game, I mean, it just kinda ignited us.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get excited thinking about it. It was fun. It was a fun day too. It was a fun game. It wasn't any you know what it felt? I mean, it felt effortless.
I like that. I'm kinda hype thinking about
Yeah.
it.
It felt yeah, it just felt like all we had to do was like be ourselves. Um and that was enough. Yeah.
That's awesome. I like how you mentioned the weather too, because you can definitely think back to, for me, games I've reported at or games I've been to as a fan where you're just like, this feels like college football should
Mm,
feel, right? Like outside, it's crisp
yes.
and it's pretty and everyone's happy. I love that.
That's how it was this past weekend. I mean, 2 weekends ago when they played Tennessee and they beat Tennessee. I mean, the weather was it was a night game and it was I mean, maybe 55 and the aura was just all Gamecock and then the
Yeah.
stadium was just like roaring. Um it's a feel to it. It really is. It's an energy you can't see.
Mhm.
That kind of takes over. So,
Well, since you mentioned Tennessee, for those who don't know your story, would you take us back to that particular game day against Tennessee and um, the awful injury? Maybe what went through your mind and how you overcame that adversity. I did read that article that came out on ESPN a few weeks ago and kind of detailed just um, how not shocking, I don't want to say, but just how devastating it was not only for you and your family, but for the entire state of South Carolina, and I think for the college football world.
yeah. Yeah, that I mean, we were just talking about fields, you know, the fields of stadiums and the energy and you kind of like just know it was it was in the opposite direction that day.
Yeah.
Um my mood was my mood was eerie before the
Mm.
game.
Before?
Before the game, I don't know. I again, there was just a lot going on in my life. I don't think I was like I felt physically I felt pretty good. Um but it was like I had one foot in and one foot out almost like in terms of my career in college because I knew the prospects of going for I mean that's always looming in your mind like
Mhm.
your dream coming true going first round going to the NFL like anybody who's played I mean when you know you have that opportunity, that's I mean, that's something that you can't not think about.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know, it was a dreary day. It was noon game. I knew we were gonna run the ball a lot because Coach Spurrier said it. Um, I mean, I felt pretty good physically. I went into it and um, yeah, it was in the second quarter. You know, we had scored. We were up. We were up against Tennessee, and you know I'd scored the drive before, and you know we were just running our offense, and uh, we ran a power play. Power is just that's just pulling the guard. It's just one of the favorite plays probably of a running back that you run ever since ever since you're young. When you got a big guy in front of you, you just follow him. And you know, I didn't follow him. on that particular play because I saw an opening on the backside, and I was it was just a routine play. When wasn't not nothing was special about it. It was just a routine play, and heck, the guy made a routine tackle. But it so like in those moments, in that moment, there's no you lose sense of anything but what just happened. Like something's wrong,
Yeah.
but you're not there. You're not there. Like you, my hands. I like vividly remember my hands like going directly to my knee, and that wasn't me thinking. That wasn't me thinking when I did that. My hands just went directly to my knee because I knew something just happened. Um, I I ran through the hole. He hit me, and my hands just went to my knee. I mean that's just. Then I flip over. Obviously, I'm flipped over. I think I grabbed it before I even flipped over. My hands are on my knee, and I see my knee on the outside of my leg, and it's turned inward. My leg is turned inward, and my kneecap is on the outside of my leg, and I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel pain. There was no pain. There was no. It was just panic more than pain. It was like almost. I assume this is what it feels like to be in a car crash. A car crash where your body like simply just goes into fight or flight, and like the sensors, the sensors in your body just completely like just stop. I mean, it hit my nerve,
Mm.
so I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel my leg. I didn't feel the pain. Um, and yeah, I remember. I remember Nick Jones. Nick Jones, my high school teammate. He's waving over. He's waving over Clint. I mean, I remember that. I remember him waving. I knew something was. I knew something was wrong. Um, and then they got out there, and Clint took my hands off of my knee. He was trying to hold. I mean, I guess it was like holding together something. You're trying to hold together something that's been severed.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember asking him, "Am I done?" I just kept asking that, "Am I done? Am I done? Am I done?" I said that like 10 times in a panic. I look back, I did watch. I've watched the video. I
Really?
remember, yeah, I threw my helmet. I don't remember doing that. I don't remember throwing my helmet off my head, but I do remember I kept asking, "Am I done? Am I done? Am I done?" And he gave me this. He didn't even say yes. He gave me this. It's only something Clint would do, and in such a humble way. It was just like a head nod to confirm that yeah, this is you're done. And you just like what? Like really? Like now? Like right now? This
Right
is
now.
happening now? I mean, it's it's like you just don't you don't want to believe it. I mean, maybe yeah, you just don't want to believe that's happening. Um, how did I overcome it, Jordan? I don't know. How did I overcome it? Uh, I didn't have a choice. I had to. I didn't have a choice. I mean, I wanted to play in the NFL. Um, I wanted to give it one more shot. I had a lot of support from the nation, from the world. I mean, my mom has over 100,000 letters in her garage right now from
Oh,
all over the world. I mean, like the world like felt that moment, and I felt their love. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give it one more shot. I didn't I mean, in that moment, I wasn't thinking anything. Like I just hopefully I could walk again. But yeah, the world helped. The world pulled me up. The world pulled me up in that instance. Um, and I got back up and I gave it another shot. Um, I'm still, nothing is like I look back at that moment and I'm I'm such in a different place in life now, and I know it's because of that moment. Like because I didn't have a choice but to face what was ahead. Some people aren't given a choice, and I wasn't really given a choice but to um get back up. The world pulled me up. Is your answer to how did I overcome it? Um, it was tough. I mean, the rehab was grueling, but I eventually was able to jog and sprint and do some agility, and the 49ers were able to see that, and I got drafted, and it was it was beautiful. Um, not obviously not the career that I wanted in the NFL, but um, still still proud of myself for going after it.
wow. Thank you for sharing all of that. I'm so taken aback by all of the letters. Like, I think that says
Yeah,
so much about what you meant to college football and to South Carolina and, like you said, just kind of the nation. Um, and I think I read, I'm not sure if it was on your website or elsewhere, that it was hard to stay in South Carolina after that, and then you kind of hoped to move around, and now you're in Oregon. Talk to me about that.
yeah. In South Carolina, I, when you have like the pedigree or career list that I had on the field, you will always feel you will always feel like that's who you are. That's my identity. Um, and I felt that was my identity. That's who I am. I had to be this guy that I've been since I've been 16 years old. I mean, that's really when the spotlight hit on. I mean, I've been a role model or someone that people see in a different light for like a really long time in South Carolina in specific. And that became a burden. It became a job. It became exhausting. Um, and because I was removed from football, I was no longer a football player. But in any context or any place that I walked into, I was reminded of that. And I felt like I had to turn on this charm to be that when I didn't even know myself. I had no clue who I was outside of football. And if I stayed in South Carolina, I would like succumb to that identity, and it never leave me, and I never find like wonder and interest outside of the game, interest in a skill outside of the game. So it was time for me to cultivate a new skill. Um, learn some things, dive into some interests that I've neglected for a long time because of football, because of this persona that I was Marcus Lattimore. Um, Jordan, it just became a it became a job to be to be number 21, I guess. 2021 on the field. It was everywhere I went. I had to be that. And I was reminded of that. And I was taking pictures of that. But I didn't want to I'm not that anymore.
Mhm.
I didn't want to be that anymore. And it was it was for my health, really. Like it's not good to stay in that mode because heck you what do you do with your time when you don't know what to do with your time? I mean, it's just becomes like the devil's playground. Like, so I just started diving into destructive shit. Like it was just it was because I didn't know what to do. Um, but it was the Hall of Fame banquet. I was inducted into the Hall of Fame banquet at the University of South Carolina in 2019, and I felt empty receiving the jacket.
Mm.
I felt empty. I felt like this is supposed to be like a celebration, like a momentous moment. Like I'm supposed to be happy right now, but I'm not happy. And it it was like really revealing. It was like a revelation almost at that moment. And like 3 months, 4 months after that, I left. My wife and I, we left, and it it was almost like something pulled, like I had to leave, or um, yeah, it was just time. Like why am I not happy in this moment? Well, I mean, it was, yeah, it was strange time. It's been a strange growth journey, but I'm thankful for it all. It's just been, I look back at those moments. It's just like, yeah, it was telling me something. It was telling me something like, I mean, because at that time, I mean, I didn't have integrity. I didn't feel confident. I didn't I didn't know who I was, but I'm receiving this jacket for a Hall of Fame. I mean, I didn't feel like a Hall of Famer if you're supposed to feel a certain way when once you put the jacket on. So I mean, yeah, it was time to go.
And from there, you moved to Oregon.
Yes.
And so you said you didn't have interests outside of football, and now you have so many. Um, Tell me a little bit about all of them. I mean, there's traveling and writing and blogging and all of those things. Where are we at now?
Yeah. I think I always had interests. I just never watered them.
Yeah.
Like I never fed my curiosities. I remember getting on a plane at 16 to Oregon, uh, at the Nike headquarters.
Oh,
We were
cool.
playing in the 7-on-7 tournament, and I remember looking out the window of the plane and seeing how green it was. Because people always ask, "Why Oregon? Why Oregon?"
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like that image. Number one is implanted in my mind. I
Okay.
had visited there in 2018, like the year before I moved, and it was, I don't know, Oregon is magical. Like like it's the most magical place. Like I'm talking about, like outside of Portland, like that nobody knows about. The nature is world renowned. It's, I mean, some of the best parks I've ever been to in my life. Um, I mean, it's just a healing place. Like it's just so much space to like just see God's beauty. Um, and yeah, but because of that, because I'm in God's beauty, I have a lot of time to see what's in here, or to analyze what's in here, Um, I'm able to hear it. I'm able to hear people call it God. Some people call it Buddha, Jesus. I call it nature. I mean, God is nature, nature's God to me. Um, I'm able to hear so clearly, like silence, like I'm not in noise. Like my whole life was filled with noise and busyness and being this person in a role. I had to play this role for so long, but in Oregon, I can hear. So, and what I hear, I mean, I just write and it comes out. And I think my writing journey started um, just as a way to express my emotions. Because I kept so much in for like a really, really long time. Because I didn't have any coping mechanism. I didn't have any coping. I didn't know what a coping mechanism was or a coping tool was. So it just started as a way to express, and now I just kept going. I just kept going, and I kept reading and writing. From people I admire. Bell Hooks, Pima Chodron. I'm really interested in Eastern thought, Indian philosophy that has like improved my health. Just learning how to breathe and just learning how to sit still every now and then. Those things I really prescribe to and I recommend. But I mean, right, like now I type poetry live. So I have a typewriter
Cool.
and I type poetry for market goers at different markets. And it's just one thing about football that I really appreciate is that it the element of live performance. And I think I missed that. I think I missed the preparation of like a game and like preparation of a challenge. And that's what like typing live poetry does for me. I do that. I narrate. I just narrate some things that I write. I I'm starting a production company called Sashimi Pumpkin. And Sashimi Pumpkin is I was the name comes from the show that I was watching. It was some of the best chefs around the world, and they were creating dishes. And it the whole idea was to create something unique. And there were some chefs from Spain, I believe, in this particular episode, and they were doing sashimi for a dish, but they also did something with pumpkin. I don't know, it was just something, and then it was just something that flowed with that for me.
Yeah.
Sashimi pumpkin, I was like, it's different, it's weird, it's me.
Memorable.
Yeah, it's me. And some of the things that I write, I mean, it's kind of unexpected from people because they never really knew me. They only knew they only knew like one version. They only knew like one version of me. So I mean, it's like it's unexpected, it's weird, it's different, and that's kind of my style. Um, when I'm having fun with poetry, versus um, just journaling and for my emotional health. When I'm having fun with writing, it's I mean, it's just so weird, all the stuff. Because like you mentioned, I traveling. I mean, we travel pretty frequently, my wife and I,
What's
and
the coolest place you've been
oh my goodness,
or favorite?
Amsterdam's my favorite place on earth, but Joshua Tree
Ooh, cool.
puts me in a it just puts me in a really, really good place. Yeah, it's a special place.
Did I read that you almost moved to France?
That was our initial move until the pandemic happened.
Mm,
So that changed up everything. I was going to study psychology in Lyon, and but I that yeah that all changed, and I ended up in Oregon, and um, but we met we have some friends in France and friends in Germany. My sister lived in Germany, which
cool.
is that connect, which is why how that connection happened. So um, yeah, it's nothing like being in a new environment.
Yeah. What's on the
What?
travel bucket list?
Oh man,
Or what place is next?
Phew.
Places.
Japan for
Nice.
sure. Um, I've never I've been to all up and down California, but I haven't been to San Diego.
Oh, me either. I've heard it's
I,
amazing.
everybody says it's
I
amazing.
know.
So San Diego,
Okay.
New Mexico, and Japan.
Nice. Okay. Your
Yeah,
wife, you met her in high school?
met her in high school.
High school sweethearts? Were you together through since?
I Jordan, I wish I could say I wish I could say that it was a pretty picture, but I mean, again, like life was just so
It's okay.
busy, and it wasn't it wasn't pretty in high school. It wasn't pretty in college, but we were doing our own thing. She was
Yeah,
doing her
that's
thing. We
okay.
were
Amazing.
always friends. And after my second injury, it was just like, um, it was like she checked in from a place that wasn't. She checked in on me, and it was from a like a you could like how you just feel somebody just genuine,
Mhm.
and she cared about me, like not even on an intimate or romantic level.
Yeah.
And we kept hanging out, and we kept hanging out, and we hadn't stopped hanging out since.
So how many years have you been together or married?
We've been married. We're going on, golly, we are going on 8 years.
Oh my gosh.
8 years.
So you're gonna plan a big 10th anniversary trip. Maybe that's
Ooh.
Japan,
Ooh.
right?
You're onto something. Yes. Market.
Um,
I'm manifesting that right now. Yes.
okay. Manifest it. I make a list um now that I mean I haven't traveled to a ton of places, but once you have the travel bug, like you keep wanting to go. So I have like a running list, even if it's domestic places, like you said, San Diego,
What's
New
next?
Mexico. Um, what's next is I have a trip to plan in March, but I don't know where to go.
March. You
But
you want nice weather?
I am gonna have to because right now I'm in Chicago and it's freezing. So by then I'm gonna want something like tropical-ish.
Yeah.
But I'm from South Florida, so that in itself is a vacation, but I want something like relaxation.
Mm.
Um, so the brainstorm is on. What do you like to do to relax? Like, is it Oregon, like outdoors? You said meditation, did I hear?
Um, yeah, definitely sit still for about 20
Sit
minutes a
still.
day.
Okay.
I just sit. Yeah, just sit. I want a hammock. I don't know if
Okay.
you've ever been in a. Have you ever been in a
I
hammock?
have been in a hammock.
Okay, it's that was life changing for me. It was my first time like a month ago, and everything kind of like just unclenches. Like you can't
Yeah.
really you can't move. You can't. Yeah, you just everything. All your muscles just let go. So I'm gonna get a hammock. But what do I like to do to relax? I get massages.
Yes.
Definitely get massages, and I enjoy acupuncture too.
Oh, okay. I've never
I,
tried it.
I
You recommend?
the science behind it, um, I'm not clear on.
Okay.
But I 100% feel better after I do it, and it's probably just because I'm sitting still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about your I always like to ask people this. What's your morning routine like day to day?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um, sit still, take the dog, walk, exercise, read. That's for the most part. The past 2 weeks I've been traveling, so it's been, trying to adjust to time zones, and so it's
Yeah.
been a little difficult. But yeah, sit still, take the dog on the walk, exercise, read.
Do you like to read nonfiction, you said?
Oh man, I've been into Toni Morrison lately, and she
Okay.
is just um it's a fictional story, but she is just a golly. I mean, her whole book, like the book I'm reading that right now, The Bluest Eye, it's on the banned book list,
Oh, okay.
and
What?
it's
Oh,
it's
it's from schools?
it's I don't yeah, it's definitely banned from schools. But it's heavy, but she is such a poet. It's just amazing. Um, yeah, so I'm reading fiction right now.
Okay, I like that. Um,
Up next is a book that I already read, but I want to reread it.
what's that?
It's called "Welcoming the Unwelcome."
Okay.
It's by Pima Chodron. She's Buddhist, a Buddhist teacher, but practical for any religion, any belief, any creed.
And then did I read that you are writing a book? I know you're writing a lot of things, but how's the progress on that?
Yeah. Um, at a standstill because I've been because I've been writing so much poetry, and I've just been I'm like zeroed in on that. I've been
Cool.
zeroed in on it. The the book that I'm working on is a manual more than a manual for high profile. It's really a niche. High profile high school student
How to
athletes.
navigate stardom?
How to
Handbook for football stars? Did I get it
landmine.
right?
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that's I mean, the riches are in the niches, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I'm gonna come back to it, but I'm on poetry right now, and I mean, I got I have that, and I also have a fictional story called The Day Before. It's a
Okay.
short story. It's about 9 pages. It's called The Day Before, and it's about a high profile high school student athlete. Uh,
Okay.
Obviously pulling a lot from personal experience and turned it into a short story it's pretty intriguing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, I always ask everyone this, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received? Or a piece of advice you've lived by?
Wow. Best piece of advice I've ever received.
Or
Don't
maybe for you as a mentor, a piece of advice you offer.
I'll I'll, I'll answer both. Don't the best piece of advice I've ever received up until this moment, don't overwhelm others with your generosity. That can scare people off. Um in the way he described it. Because a lot of people aren't ready for all of you.
Mhm.
So give people bits and pieces.
Okay.
Um best advice or advice that I give. Oh man. Well, it's always in context and it's always personal. Um Listen, consciously consciously listen to
I
other
like that.
people. Um don't have a ready-made response. Just just listen. Just Okay, practice listening because it's not something that comes natural.
It's
Yeah.
a good one. Do you watch college football now? I mean, I know you have your podcast, which I mean, we're on a Believe network, so we can plug. Um, that's Believing Gamecocks, or is it Believing South Carolina? I know I should know this.
Believe in South Carolina.
Believe in South Carolina. Do you enjoy? Because I've met a lot of athletes who, you know, they don't necessarily love watching their sport. Do you enjoy that on the weekends?
I enjoy watching football. I enjoy watching any football,
Yeah.
not just Carolina. Because I'm just I'm a fan of like I'm a fan of people. I mean, how can you not watch Caleb Williams? You know,
Right.
or I mean, anytime Texas is on, like I don't know, yeah, college football is awesome.
It's the best.
It's awesome.
What else do you like to do to fill your days before I let you go? We've been talking for almost an hour, which is, you know, up there on my
What do I
with
do
my
to fill my
records. You're
days?
very easy to talk to.
I mean, Jordan. I'm pretty simple.
I
I
think
mean, I like
you have a lot to fill your days. I mean, poetry, writing, walking the
yeah.
dog, doing all the things. I mean, it's not
I
like you're not busy.
I like I enjoy cooking.
Okay.
Um, I enjoy cooking. Um, I mean, I mean there's so many good parks here. Like I mean, I could try a different one
Yeah.
every day of the month. I mean, every day within a month. Um, there's redwoods here. I go to redwoods pretty often, like redwood trees and it's just so that's therapeutic. You ask me how do I relax? That's therapeutic. Just going to hang out in the redwoods. Um, what else? I mean, I watch TV. I watch TV at night.
What have
Um,
you binge watched lately or just
oh my
watched?
goodness, Wednesday. Wednesday
Whoa.
from the Adams Family.
Yes, I've heard it's good.
Oh my
It's not
goodness,
scary, is it?
she is
Or is it spooky?
it's spooky.
It's
She
spooky.
is spooky.
Mm,
Wednesday is
okay.
spooky.
I
She
have to
is
think about watching it then.
but man, it's good. It's good.
Okay. I might have to. You've been really selling Oregon, and I've never been there, so I might have to add that to the list.
Jordan, I can't say enough good things about Oregon. Like Crater
Okay,
Lake National Park, sh- just put it on your list. Please put
I'm
it on
sold.
because I can't even describe it. Yeah.
Well, this has been so wonderful, and I've learned so much about you. I hope everyone else has taken away as much as I have, and I just so appreciate you sharing so much and giving us the scoop and then some. Where can everyone find you?
www.marcuslattimore.com. Marcus Lattimore on Instagram. I'll be more active there. Coming up for sure with Sashimi Pumpkin coming out. Sashimi Pumpkin will be official in January 2023.
Nice.
But for updates, my website, and I want to thank you for creating a space that allows me to talk freely, for like just to be myself. Um, I don't take that I don't take that for granted at all.
That means so much to me, really. So you're welcome anytime. Um, and I just so appreciate you. So thank you. And we should do it again.
N-
I
uh,
think we could talk for, I mean, we had an hour. How's
Whenever
that?
you want,
We could
whenever you want.
hours and hours. I think we would have a lot to talk about. And hey, maybe we'll invite Coach Spurrier next time.
Let's do it. No,
Okay.
no, like for real.
Uh, I'm in.
Say less.
Marcus Lattimore, thank you so much. This has been a blast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.